Hello, my name is Ray Salazar, and this is Morning Reel, a 3 to 4 100 minute or so podcast films that I review of all genres, of all kinds of nationalities. Today, I review To the Wonder, written and directed by Terrence Malick. Now, before I go on, I love this guy. He's probably one of the most visually stimulating directors to make movies, I guess. You know, what we call the cinema, what we call the motion picture. This guy digests it in its most purest, most unadulterated form. I would recommend you see more of his films, much like this film and the previous film before it, A Night of Cups and Sound of Song. Anyways, this is an experimental romantic drama film starring Ben Affleck, Olga Kurylenko, Rachel McAdams, and Javier Bardem, who I think stole the movie in a sense. He's the most jaded character, I guess. This was filmed in Oklahoma and in Paris. This film came out in 2012, distributed by Magnolia Pictures. Thank God for them because we wouldn't have seen this film. And I also want to say that this film was produced by Sarah Green and Nicholas Gonda. Cinematography from the OG legend himself, Emmanuel Lubezki. Edited by AJ Edwards, Keith Brace, Shane Hazen, Christopher Walden, and Mark Yoshikawa. Yes, 5 editors. Music by Hannon Townshend. This film is basically about the journey of love, I guess. Lust love, romantic love, the love for God, the love for oneself, and for the love to another person. And it focuses on these 4 people who are interconnected in some way, one more than the other. It's a film about a couple who falls in love and they decide to get together and they found love in Paris and they moved that love to Oklahoma where this French woman is just in such a new world. What's crazy about this film, for the plot to even make sense, because it might not make sense, but it makes perfect sense when you watch the film because Terrence Malick puts you into this world where it's reality for the most part, but it's almost like a dreamlike state throughout the whole film. Everything surrounding these characters is completely real, completely normal as how we humans see it, but they themselves, the characters, these key characters, they're just magnificently different from every other human being in the film. Like if they're put on some sort of pedestal in a sense, but the people around them don't see them as such. It's only they themselves. And that's very important that I point that out because a lot of us think that way. I know I think that way sometimes where, fuck, I forget that I'm not the only one living here. I'm not the only one who has a purpose in life. I'm not the only one who has the love for God. And God plays a big role in this film. Not necessarily God itself, but the belief in God, the belief in being a good person, especially through God. I like how Terrence Malick mixes that theology into romance because, I mean, when you love somebody, you love somebody. That's very strong affection, very strong feelings and emotions. And imagine putting all that to a higher power so much above you, so completely 100% perfect. Imagine giving all that and you live through your life and it feels like you've never received the reciprocation of God's love. Javier Bardem's character is that type of person who's going through that type of journey as far as how one endures love. And I don't know how Terrence Malick writes the dialogue for these films because I mean a lot of it is very based on his own life experiences with people, especially lovers, whatnot. When you watch this film, it's totally like watching a French film. Because it feels because it's a lot of it's voice. I mean, most of it is pretty much voiceover, not too much like actual dialogue between characters. Not too much. A lot of it's voiceover, and almost every line of voiceover dialogue is very intense as far as what's being said on the screen. Not only is it intense, it feels so pure. It feels so almost innocent, but not innocent at all because you're not only looking at these characters going through the good and the bad and the ugly, but you're also hearing it as well. You're hearing the good, you're hearing the bad, you're hearing the ugly, and you're hearing the wonder. Very beautifully shot film. I mean, when you look at it, you can tell that it's shot by an RE camera because the dynamic range just looks spot on, so completely lifelike. It's like if you were in the movie, naturally shot, barely little lighting, like artificial lighting. That's what I loved about it the most. And what's crazy, this film's like a dance, like a weird dance through. I can't really explain it, but it, there's a lot of editing in this film, and you can straight up tell all kinds of movements happening from these characters. These characters actually put in some type of body work, on screen. Very, you can tell that they had to be very vulnerable to be in that state. And not only that, but like to pull it off at the same time. My only problem with this film, really, because I would give this film an automatic 3.5 out of 4 Cokes. And I guess my con in this film is that it's this type of film where you just have to allow yourself to be totally sucked into it, sucked into the vision of Terrence Malick and what the movie's basically offering. It's it's entertaining, but it's art. It really is art on screen, and there's no explosions, there's no gunshots. So to a lot of people, it's not like it won't make sense, but they won't be captivated by the simpleness of this film as far as like the direction of it itself is just so simple and so majestic at the same time. Um, that doesn't sound like a con, but the con would be it's too basic of a plot. Sometimes you ask yourself, like, what is exactly going on? Sometimes you don't feel like you're sure of it. I've I wonder that, but at the same time, it's like, well, you're watching a movie from an old man and it's poetry on screen. Take it as it is. And I totally appreciate it. Very influential film. I dig this guy's work. My name is Ray Salazar. Follow me at Morning Shot Films, IG and YouTube. Follow this podcast, The Morning Reel. On to the next one. Thank you.